Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, coming to you live from Lagos and Abuja. A reminder of our main stories. Maiduguri comes under heavy attack from insurgents. Giwa Army Barracks not spared. Military repels multi-pronged offensive, claims upper hand in the encounter. Nigerian governors discuss better approach to anti-corruption, agriculture and education development. And Russia says it will respect Crimea's vote in Sunday's planned referendum. All right, a quick reminder to you that all our top stories are on our website, ChannelsTV.com, and on YouTube.com/channelsweb. To get us on the move, please visit m.channelstv.com to view us live on your mobile device. You can also download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS and Windows phones from their respective stores. And you can interact with the Channels Eyewitness feature on our Android and Windows 8 platforms. So if you have pictures or videos to share with us, tap on the application on your device, swipe to reveal the Eyewitness menu, and follow the instructions to share your reports, pictures and videos. Over now to our Abuja studios. Here's Linda Akigbe. Linda, are you there?
Thank you, Joma, and welcome to the nation's capital. Nigerian leaders must be prepared to reel out the appropriate sanctions to those who engage in corrupt practices if the country is to make today in Lagos, Nigeria's southwest region. Law Akin Oyebode says corruption thrives owing to absence of appropriate penalties, while the former ICPC chairman, Justice Mustafa Akombi, believes it takes a concerted effort by all Nigerians to tackle the scourge.
But the most interesting perspectives may have come from those who have walked the talk. Two of the country's most renowned anti-graft chiefs, the ex-chairman of ICPC and the EFCC, had tussled with the monster for years.
But if you make a thorough study, probably you are also going to get the richest professor, the richest unionist, the richest pastor, the richest imam. You get it in Nigeria. So, you know, this is all about corruption. When we talk about it, sometimes it tends to be lost in translation, like what one film said. It's about the money, and it is not why it should be. It is ending up in wrong hands.
Voting for corrupt people will not help Nigeria. Finally, the people themselves must at all times be part of the struggle to fight corruption. I say this because even in Hong Kong, it was the people who fought the police for corruption. They marched against them. The police reacted, and the final analysis today, Hong Kong is a less corrupt country than Nigeria is.
Perhaps it's the host governor, Babatunde Fashola, who raises a very fundamental question of lifestyles that typically celebrate corruption.
It's a question now of values. A society where people spray money and step on money. And I think that's a mindset that raises questions. It's not just, you know, this is all you work for. So if you can step on your own sweat, something is wrong. Fundamentally flawed, that we must all re-examine. How did we get to this kind of pass? So, and when you look at that society where people's status and social living is incompatible with their known sources of income, and all seems to be well.
The eminent professor of international law, Akin Oyebode, concludes that corruption thrives simply because people are getting away with it.
What we have lacked, in my view, is the sense of punishment. And what has thrived, as I'm going to say later, is this notion of impunity. What can I get away with? How much can I get away with? So it's not corruption that is as much the problem as the failure of society to punish those who have been found corrupt.
The symptoms, the diagnosis and the remedies for this moral epidemic are clearly spelled out. But there still remains the question of the delicate surgery required to rid Nigeria of the scourge of corruption. Charles Eruka for Channels Television News.
Well, I'm going to continue from where Linda left off there, as there were other issues that were discussed at that retreat which was held in Lagos. Unstable government policy was named as a major distraction to the development of agriculture in Nigeria. Participants pointed this out and offered solutions such as the harmonization of the state agriculture policy if Nigeria must develop this sector.
The third Nigerian Governors Forum retreat is a platform for serious talks. The first session focuses on agricultural development as a strategy to increase non-oil revenue. Priority has been given to this issue because, according to the governors, spending about 10 billion naira annually on food import is detrimental to the economy. Presenters who are experts in the field have been invited to share their observations. The first speaker, a senior lecturer in the University of Maiduguri, Babagana Abagambo, points out problems which have hindered the desired growth in the sector.
Fertilizer and other inputs is a great mirage. The harsh environmental vagaries is found all over. Erosion in the southeast, desertification in almost all the northern states of the country, soil degradation in the southwest. We have to take that into cognizance as well.
The next suggests, among other solutions, that the agricultural sector should run through the private sector.
We should allow the private sector to take over. Our role is more or less ensuring a rightful environment in terms of providing little incentives. I will also encourage the proper monitoring of our policy, because this tells us what we've done and what the outcome is for us to see where we've missed it and what we ought to do better.
From a broader perspective, a formula to achieve a positive economic outcome.
The three things that drive economic outcomes are policies, leadership, and institutions. Unfortunately, one is, if you get two of them, you will get positive outcomes.
The discussion segment is on the assessment of agriculture in the 36 states of the Federation.
Our policies are as right as what is being done in developed countries, but our problem is implementation of these policies.
What makes us to keep producing is because there are buyers. Once we don't have buyers, this definitely is going to affect production.
At the end of the session, the discussants agree on some points which both the federal and state governments should deal with. They include the need to monitor policy implementation, encourage more youth to get involved in commercial agriculture, and overhaul of the system to the use of modern technology equipment. Ini Thompson reporting for Channels Television News.
Now, education was also given attention as participants frowned on the lack of access to good education, inappropriate school curriculum at the elementary level, and then, of course, constitutional lapses as regards resting the running of primary education on the local government authorities. All those who spoke at the session recommended an overhaul of the sector.
Being effective also comes to play.
There is a crisis in education in Nigeria today. We pride ourselves as the giant of Africa, and we have our children sitting on bare floor because of the infrastructural decadence in all the schools, especially in basic education. And the basic education is the foundation of education. If you go to many schools in Nigeria today, you find that the roofs are caving in, the ceilings are virtually falling on the children. How do we expect our children to perform optimally?
I think the number one problem that we're experiencing in education is actually the distortion that federalism
this unitary federalism that we're practicing has brought about in the area of education, both in terms of solid education planning itself and in terms of funding processes, in terms of the curriculum that do not offer life skills, because we all have to buy into a central curriculum of the National Council of Education.
You need to look at the constitutional provision that puts that responsibility in the hands of local government councils. We need a review of that so that the state governments can take that responsibility. We've done it in Rivers State, but what we did was to get the local government to concession primary education to us.
For every period, maybe a 5-year period, maybe a 10-year period, we should reassess what we have spent in what state. Maybe when we had just 4, but by which time we were getting 12, and later on 19. How much we have spent on education and what is the result. And use this as a base. If my colleagues were here, they would prove me right here of what we could do with the results of this education.